It's buffering.
I have.
It's buffering slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're up now.
We're up now? Thank you.
Okay, everyone. Excuse me. Hi, we're going to start the show. 8 o'clock hour is JJ Rowan, Anita Ross, Jim Dunn, Mark Lamoureux, Bridget Eileen, Sharon Clark, Remington, and Henning JP Garcia. So first up is JJ Rowan.
Hi. Thank you to you for the last minute of including me. So I'm going to read partially out of my notebook and then off my phone where the rest of my notebooks are. Diary in, diary out. Poetry out, poetry out. Newsletter cord starts to thread itself home as time's bubble. Thick skin don't pop. Before and after, marry in the middle of what has no middle, those bubbles at the Science Museum big enough to warp and bend. South of here, another time zone, I swear it, another time. Counts hours off as statues, as waste lawn. Stomp around to meet the Lord. A Lord, somebody's Lord. Wince around the corner where it hovers, what water could be still under this aggressive prayer. Still go under. The song sounded different when I knew you could hear it too, when I didn't know if you could hear the little tune of my body coming into feeling. I think it's strange you never knew. I think it's strange when a song waits for you when you're waiting. Ordinary, the moment, the calm, ecstatic, skin lifts, muscle follows, dark weaves the tune another way, daylight floating. Make it make less sense. Miles of made up straight lines, but the planet curved, indignant, rolling, roiling. I draw a straight line through me to bend it, but it won't snap. I haven't decided if I want it to. Maybe I've decided, but won't say so. I've decided to maybe it. Tilts the curl pattern and it's just like any other day. Tick, tick, goose. Take the gander and both won't say. So it's underwater, under weather, whether or not the hours get counted or counts. I had the hiccups and then I was kicking, getting a kick out of. Can't say it on the page or in the room. Disappear here, you say. Your skin does. Do you mean it? Will the junk carpenter ever reveal themselves? Will we ever stop throwing our words around? Where did the page go? I've been writing this one all day. It's 9 a.m., beast of my body in the crucifer forest, jellyfish tree fall wet to the windows of my car. Solved a problem, saved crossing it off for later. How much feeling have you scribbled on? Maybe it's just the cusp of a big move in your gut. You're crossing the country, not the atmosphere. Shiny, socked in morning, I miss you. I'm always the ripple and never the stream. I'm not talking about beauty. Given the chance, I'll always throw myself in the river. We could be stones if you'd like. Put me in your palm when you're worried. The water of me empties out. I forget to replace it. I still haven't cried. Maybe that's not true. I lose time in slices. I do the fugue state of going to work, flip a page. Are you writing this down? My you is almost always plural. My time is fleeting, like yours. Someone told me the way to get the song to slow down is to embody slowness, and this is the closest I've been to time travel. When you let music into your body, you can call yourself song. Who put all these feelings on the internet? Will the algorithm ever protect me? Over and over in my imagination, I flip the table. I'm still negotiating countdown, so negotiation becomes counting too. This is also called setting yourself up for a surprise. Ghosts show up to accompany me. God makes these halos circles, just ordinary roundness with no numbers attached. Amen. I wrap the curse as a gift, but throw the gift in a well. Sorry, water. Depth is an unexpected theme. People keep arriving, exclaiming from the tables. I'm losing the script again, cutting letters short, doubling lost voice with a tender sternum. Oops, I've locked my life in the trunk. Firebag time capsule, split wood support system, crabapple spellbook. How many times can I slide these photos in and out of sleeves before the plastic splits? I too am brittle. Yes, I'll keep going, but I don't have to like it. Maybe I could loose this stubborn silhouette from my craw. Gender presentation in capital letters. I don't pack the box. I pay postage, throw a handful of change at the toll basket, and everything sings. 10 years ago, Maine. 20 years ago, Oregon. I refuse to call this a circle. I have all the impulses of my impatience. Ink, cut, bubble, and sink. Ghosts show up to accompany me. God, make these tires halos. Weather, do your worst. I'll be the one with the blue-gray coffee mug, missing you. Don't tell anyone this is a love poem. This month of tasks, that month of tasks. You write a poem, I write a poem. We swim in the same ocean we call language. The hive grows, swells, all this honey clogging my throat. Everything feels like goodbye. When I want to say hello, I stutter and gulp. I layer the words in a panic, say, good hell, to greet you. Is it sweet? Thank you.
Just a reminder for those of you watching online that you can, that this event is a fundraiser for abortion access. You can go to bostonpoetrymarathon.com and click the donate button, and we will happily accept your donation. And that goes for all of you here as well. We still have the fabulous picture. It's not full yet, so we can't leave until it is. Let's see, JJ, that was terrific. I love the hiccuping and kicking. I thought that was great. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Let's see, Anna Ross, you're up next. Where is Anna? Thank you, Anna.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's so great to be together on this humid evening. And I love everything I've heard so far. And I'm also really grateful for this fundraiser. So thank you, Boston Poetry Marathon, for doing that. I'm going to read from my new book that's coming out in November. It's called Flutter Kick. And there are a lot of poems about motherhood and daughterhood in this book. And as I was looking through it to decide what to read, I realized there's also a lot of Boston in this book. So I chose some poems that are Boston poems for the Boston Poetry Marathon. Anxious Talker. There is a place where words are born of silence, Rumi says. Is it a place of anxious talkers, the sort who can't be in an elevator without remarking on the weather, not waiting for a response? How about those paths? Or a place for all of us who knew the answer in second grade, but were afraid to raise our hands and now can't stop shouting, 7, it's 7, I know it too, at the teacher who praised the one girl who spoke, shaming the rest of us. She was the same girl who pulled your hair at recess if you wore braids and once punched you so hard in the thigh it left a bruise the size and shape of the dark purple pansies your mother planted each spring. Small purple flags to claim the soil of a place she wasn't born into. Slowly, the bruise grew a yellow halo, and you were silent about that, too, until your mother found it in the bath. The words that came then were hers. Why didn't fear that you understood only as anger? Why didn't you tell? And a visit to the teacher, despite your pleas. It wouldn't work, you knew. That night, awake in the silent house, you fingered the bruise and heard, or thought you heard, a humming that might have been a word. Is someone keeping time? Because I didn't actually hear it. Okay, great. Real life. On our walk to the Science Museum, my daughter spots a jet chalking its contrail on sky, asks how small the people had to get to fit inside. And instead of trying to explain distance or physics I only partly understand, I want domino suitcases, toothbrushes the size of rice grains, all of us reduced to our lightest, most exact selves. But when we reach the museum's transportation display with its model trains and full-size climb-in replica of the Apollo lunar module, she tells me that in real life, planes are large enough to let us step aboard without shrinking. Although later in the Hall of Human Life, and then and now, we agree it's difficult to tell the long ago real people from those they imagined we might be. And what color were their houses? Could we visit them if we walked or swam far enough? Then, in New England habitats, we find 2 deer, legs splayed atop a concrete rock next to a painted stream, and a nesting pair of grebes with pieces of marsh grass decades in their beaks. Across the hall, the lone moose hefts his many-fingered rack expectantly, as if the next field trip train of kids will be the one to lead him out across Route 28 and down into the Charles, where the duck boats leave diesel V's against the currents. In front of his case, there's a button we can press to know his scent, sawdust mixed with the sour memory of meat. Is this to help us feel that he is real? But now my daughter is leading me to the gray wolf, silent by the door, her head lowered to sniff the smoky blur of half-blind pups who lift fine needled paws toward her dim light. This next one is kind of Boston adjacent. It takes place in Provincetown. Not if, but when, the scientists all agreed, when the news ran the picture of the man on his paddleboard, a great white trailing silently behind, just feet from the beach, kids and seals splashing in the surf. So next day, I'm the embarrassing stranger lady waiting toward the 4 tween boys with their boogie boards, unsunned arm pointing to the posted warning, be shark smart, don't swim near seals. I look for mothers, wonder if they mind me worrying the boys. My own daughter, just their age, safe at home inland. These days, she can spend hours looking as new shapes emerge in the mirror, lengthening thigh, rounding to hip, swell of collarbone, buoying neck, cheek, cresting beneath her gaze. How easy to make a mistake. Find herself alone one dawn or dusk, following a warming current out past where her feet can touch, something unseen hungering near. And those boys on the beach, who's teaching them the signs? Shiny hook, bare skin, deep water, funneling one uncertain shape toward another. Not if, but when. Knees grazing sand, I swim the shallows parallel to shore, calculating. The one who held me down. The one who pressed himself sharp into me on the rush hour train. The one who forced a kiss on the bus and the other rider's laughter. The one who grabbed me from behind in the dark bar. The one I bled after. At home, my daughter's reflection stares at her from the bedroom door, but soon she'll open it, step out, and what wave will greet her then, sweeping her beyond me in its net of salt. I paddle back to where I've left my things, watching for buoys and seals. But now the August sun is going down, and they, and whoever led them here, have disappeared.
I have some read my instructions, make sure I'm doing everything right. My readers, okay, everyone knows the drill, 7 minutes. Anna, that was wonderful, sort of really cinematic. I could picture everything you were describing so beautifully. Jim Dunn is up next. Jim.
Hey, I'm Jim. It's good to be back. Thank you everyone for everything. This little book that came out recently, it's a little Path to Jesus, Priest Converts Christianity and Deep Thoughts with Jack Handy and Jim Dunn. These are my Gloucester poems, and this is one, Folded Sorrows Inscribed Gloucester for Bob. Hey, Bob. Spread out against the sky, they seem immense. A sky of blackbirds delivering their own version of the avian eclipse. Miles of beating wings, no measure, a circumference of infinity. There seems to be a secret door in this city that opens downward like a trap door to the bottom of an all-encompassing, disheartening sadness. A laundromat lost in time that washes tears clean of their salty connection to the sea, where warmly waits the folded sorrows to be carried upstairs and put away. My friend Gabe's here, and he's bought a power washer. And this is a power washing poem. Power wash the souls. It's also from my friend Ivan in Perth. Ivan loved to power wash everything. Greg proclaimed at his Australian funeral, a lobsterman gone out to sea to power wash the stars. I rid the deck of dark and dirty secrets with jets of holy water. Water that does not replenish, water that removes any trace of time and buildup. I power wash the souls of lonely porches, removing lichen, mold, and moss with the laser focus of mindful water that cannot be imbibed, that cannot bless, but works wonders like an aqua velvet charm. I think aqua velvet was an aftershave my dad used, right? I think. I'm asking you. Yankee Division Highway. This is ode to the only rest stop in my town. And, my town is a rest stop, and I'm fucking proud of that. In defense of the depth charge frogman diving deeper to wire the water to explode. The day starts as an ocean and ends as a star. Waves of water and bands of light wash over the hours and shine the night. We're almost there if the rest stop is home, and it is. I celebrate the Beverly Rest Area, the only respite on the Yankee Division Highway, where Giles Corey took his shortcut to the Witch's Woods. He made such great time from Salem to Gloucester that it had to be sorcery and not a sensible route through the woods. The shortcut proved he was a warlock, and when they heaved boulders upon his chest to coax a confession from his pressed lips, his only response was, "More weight." Thank you. And more weight was applied and crushed Giles to death, but his spirit still lingers just beyond the rest stop off Common Lane in the Witch's Woods. The winter wind, as it passes through the trees, whispers, "More weight." The trucks at the rest stop idle with running lights aglow, humming a diesel tune for the Cape Ann boulders that labored his breath as it whistled away from his last words. Thank you. Thank you very much. Gloucester, Massachusetts. There's lots of ghosts in Gloucester, and I love them all. Granite glistens in the golden glaze of receding tide. These rocks are slick reminders of how easy it all slips away. They're unmoved by daytime and drama of the pleading sea, pleading to see the specters dressed in the morning garb of birds in flight, standing and praying, some swooping and cursing, diving and pedaling desire, for want of a better word, for want of a bitter sword. The cut cuts both ways. Why cross out when you can cross over? A myriad of mirrors, pick your reflection carefully. Left-handed, left holding. Right-minded, right here. They are the mist, the steam, the haze. They are the sea spray, the rain remnant, the dew. They are condensation, the beads of sweat, the tears. St. Peter's Feast of the Fiesta, fisher of men, clamor of souls. Statues are crying, buildings are confused. Carry your patron saint under your eyelids to flash a sign of the cross when you roll your eyes. West meets east in the middle of the harbor. Hate factory, pain points, abandoned boats, abandoned hopes. There's nothing worse than seeing nothing there, but swearing that nothing you saw is a lighthouse of memories, lit up with the rotating eye of blinking experience. Ghoster mass harbors ghost ships, invisible deckhands, and men reduced to a name on their minds, floating like a golden thought of forgiveness to a deserving beach crowd watching the whale. Thank you. I want to read a poem from my friend Gabe, who's here. A tall stalk of night for Gabe. Soaking it in is one thing, spilling it out is another. I see you in the attic of the old Worthing pub, a tall stalk of night, light, nimble words, absorbing the universe in a particular moment. Poetry is the greatest force on earth, and the force is within you. Let it fly and listen all to the slow tear of time and the ages that weep and rips in the cloth of unbridled freedom. 6 foot in the grave, 1 foot in the parade. That's where the music comes from. You are taller when you reach down to soak it in and spill it out. I see you sitting down, standing tall after all options have been exhausted. Hey, Gabe, he's here. They call me an idiot, occultist, savant, numerologist. I'm an armchair I Chingis. The After Mathematics, this is a Trump-demic poem. Running the numbers after the numbers have run, the weight of great and costly errors, tallying up the scores in a divine equation, a long, irreversible division, carrying the one, something does not add up, counting the beans as they jump to their death, leapfrog, leaps of faith, landing in hot water, boiling to a point. Logical conclusions are also a form of tiny deaths, like dreamless sleep or interrupted ecstasy. Count the losses, measure a bottomless hole, run your tongue over the absence where once was your missing tooth. The numbers continue to climb like acrobatic airplanes over the sea. It all comes down to this, the missing variable. And this shall be my last poem. 30 seconds. For Garrett Lansing. Wishing wells, lighthouse eyes shine, New York City, neon winter blue. A monk among us with strange invocations who robed us in words. Sitting on the Senator's Louisburg Square doorstep on Mount Fordham, sharing stolen chocolate-covered secrets from Starbucks. The downward tree grows earthly in your heavenly hands, regarding the city from the grand windows of the brick Sears Tower, the Charles River ribboned under the Smoot and Longfellow. Swimming back from Kettle Island, I caught a tidy glimpse of you waving from Magnolia Beach on the 4th of July as holiday voters aim recklessly from my unseen bobbing head, floating on the sea. You carry the secret of the fisherman and his catch, the sinking boat and the sea, the land and its pinings in the palm of your soul. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. You read with such energy. It's such a pleasure to listen to you. And I love the idea of power washing, everything, including souls. You left one of your poems here, but you can get that later. Let's see. Next up is Mark Lamoureux. Mark.
Thank you, everyone, for everything. And as Jim said, and thank you, Jim. I miss Garrett so much. These are recent, they're kind of dark. It's 2020. Poem for Annabelle. Oh, my daughter, your father is out with the night walkers, staring down the eyes of cars, peering in windows of restaurants at the lives they could have led. My little light who flickers in the dark when I gaze into the oblivion from whence you came and where I would go, but for the covenant we made that first day I watched you pulled from a wound. Oh, my daughter, I will bury my heart in a glass jar marked by a sign only you and I will know. You will need the 3 daggers you find there. Pull them out and do not think of the holes of what I was or what I might have been out in the light of the sun in the world I have forsaken. Find the oldest, darkest tree and lie you down in the shadows there. The arms above you are mine. The clouds that weep through the lattice of branches are my tears, which were never shed for you, little light. My oceans of tears will wash you like I did the day you were born. You will learn the world is unkind, and I did what I could, and that is why I could find no peace in this place, crossing so many rivers and losing parts of me I might have saved for you. Let your yellow hair fly in the wind and the rain, as mine does when I walk from no destination until my feet ache, walking into the void of the world and walking back to you, exhausted and empty. In my last breath, I will save to whisper your name to a God who turned away from me and my longing, my broken heart. I will fix for you and quicken my limbs to hold you as I was never held in this world with no use for me. All I know of love, I learned from you. All I know of light beamed from your eyes like the ray of the lighthouse above where my ship shatters on the barbs of dark stone, and I wash ashore, flashed and coughing, to find you again. Oh, my daughter, your father is out with the night walkers, out by the flickering light of the deserted church, the empty streets, which are like my body at night when I sleep on the floor next to you, untouched and unseen. I'll teach you to disappear, to be alone. The only lessons for this world, the only skills that will save you from the crush of people and their rotten stories. Do not write your life like a story where the hero dies in the end. Do not live your life as I have lived, like a man in a book unread on the shelf, riddled with moth holes, pages uncut, but sometimes burnt or stained with wine or blood. I bequeath you my armor and my silence, and I give the rest to the wind that howls outside our house and calls me to catch the lightning in my mouth and the thunder in the empty cave chest. This is hymn to Oasis. Oasis was the Greek goddess of depression. My body is the prayer. A dead star is the answer. There is a place blacker than the night. There is a flame colder than the void. There is a hunger stronger than love. There is a face in the ashes of the offerings. It is my own. What is taken is never given. You will take what is yours. You will take everything and not want and not see and not love and not exult in the corporeal collapsing into the whole of your heart. You never asked to be born, need not ask to die, because the answer is exploding space, the words that fall apart as soon as they are spoken, the poem that cannot end but must end in you. And these are a couple of poems from songs. Lily Bell. Spine's black petunias grow over grief's desolation. Dream of sighs and vanilla beans hanging from a trellis like mummified fingers. Listening to a non-existent 45, let your head go under, let your head go under, let your head wake up to the usual, the other side of the mirror, just the same old shit in reverse. And this is Party Piece. A chest lining hanged above the mirror for the yoga of the dying machine, falling into anahatasana in a pool of its own fluid. A century ripped neatly down the middle, like the pill sheath, fingers fumbling for medicine, for the lock, for the left hand in space, in the dark. Just let go.
I do want to thank everyone who has contributed to our fundraiser. Forget to say that, so thank you, thank you. Let's see, next is Bridget Eileen. And Mark, thank you, that was fabulous. I got one during the end of our chat, so, here's Bridget Eileen.
Thanks, everybody. I don't know if you know this, but I like organizing literary events. Which I mentioned just because I've got a Jane Austen book club, Boston Austen book club. We meet once a season. And I'm starting a new book club, Tori Amos book club, for any ears with feet who want something to do to tide themselves over before the next tour starts. And it's all at my new blog about witchcraft, notebookwitch.com. You can get information about that. So plug, plug, plug. I also have a phobia of sending out my work. So if you like what I read tonight and you want to publish it, email me. And I've got 7 unpublished manuscripts for you. Okay. Spell for recovery. Things aren't as simple as they seem. You can't organize a river into prim boxes vaccinated against messes. First, advance the cause of good enough, then save lives. Down the road, listen to all the things. What is bleak, what is dead, what is remarkable, the small yet different, known for being gregarious, encouraging the world to involve itself in substance. Overdose, depression, manic, moving on. I'm unable to ignore the difficult role we dangerously pay for as anomalies, odd, unique, major, burdensome to carry. You will illegally solicit widening interest gaps. I will coast away to increasing degrees of digression. Speak to me from everywhere. Ask that I come home to you. This is my feckless dream. I'm not even sure I want it. Instead, find the place where the ground feels solid and the sky less ominous. Full moon, you slay me. Winning me over with the exposing moon of true love, a disaster, a vulgar disaster. Here we endorse a new wind, whirling ourselves into an active choice. I shiver, downtrodden. We're of the last, and we drive ourselves, fighting strenuously to purge the usurpers, standing up to betrayal. Who will love me? You get stunted, you know, when there's no one in the snow to take your hand and make it better. You break your back with your low-grade shovel from the discount store, and no one offers their snowblower to help. This isn't a friendly town. This is a town that repeats, you're alone, like a mockingbird, every time your debit card doesn't work at the old-fashioned gas station and you already pumped in too much. Meanwhile, everything is chaos back down south, where you left one life for another, for another. At least the bathtub in this house is fancy, and Sunday nights you can take a long hot soak and read Pride and Prejudice for the first time, then the 12th time, then the 30th. One of these days, maybe Mr. Darcy is going to show up in this life you've written. Then you won't hate all this stuff on the ground, how it burdens you one of these days. My mom has lived in New Orleans since 2010, and we didn't put this on Facebook yet. She's moving back home. So here is prayer in New Orleans. I'm gonna miss New Orleans, the end of an era. Dear sister city, dear hurricane ghost winds, dear blighted streets, mossy trees, patchy trunk myrtles, burdocks, irises, purple, green, and yellow decorations, dear Ash Wednesday. For 40 days, I give up, giving in to my addiction to escape the present for hope of the past. I will hope for the future. I will really love myself. I will really believe I deserve it all. Live that life. See what comes of it. Instructions for a plain summer day. Buy tarot cards. Read them in the shade by the swimming pool. Leave them in a box in the ivy along the pool yard fence, then let them get rained on a little by accident. Remember them that evening during a downpour. Rush out to rescue them. Find them protected by the box. Notice that they feel more like yours from this incident. Ask them what to do now that things have turned, changed, but in an undefined manner. Ignore the answer in that space between sleep and thoughts. It is your downfall to dwell anyway, despite what they tell you to do, but it is still good to get that good advice, even if you don't heed it. Will it ever sink in, ever be absorbed? The vines bloom over the window. The sun still shines, and your lips will tempt the wrong man for decades. The ruins of the old house get sold off. Still you thrive on false hope. Still you dream the wrong way. For love. Drop from the deck, the past, a paternal peacemaker, the king of family love. What happened then affects now in a way it couldn't when he wasn't dead. What guidance comes as a spirit serves better his loved ones than what he could convey when present. Present. Pulled from the top, a temptress, her red hair under a hood, the lady of forbidden love, the garlic harvest, the thistle, railings and what clouds there are to notice above our naked bodies. 2 swans are not 2 parrots, are not a dove. In the future, cut the deck. You decide what it is. It is wishes fulfilled, the stars of true love, the hearts and cherubim, the soaring and the gold. What shimmering night, what crescent moon, what hope. Thanks, everybody.
Just beautiful, thank you, and such a beautiful, consistent voice. Okay, next up, Cheryl Clark Vermeulen. Cheryl?
Oh dear, what world we are living in. I love Boston Poetry Marathon, and I'm also very grateful for the donation for reproductive justice and abortion access. I hope people donate. So I'm going to read poems from this book that just came out 5 months ago. It's still within the year. They can take it out. I've read many of these poems over the years when they felt very, very private. And, you know, this is the first sort of public space they met in many instances. And so it feels really great to have it in this form. So here we go. Growing authority. I waited with a gargantuan blood clot on ice and heard a fellow say outside, "Thanks for the heads up," to whatever the nurse whispered. He declined my offer to look. "You're a doctor. This is the real thing, not books and stats," I said, tittering. Then he checked for blood coming from my uterus. Origins matter. Seasoned and consistent, the doctors keep their protocols tight. They also never enter without saying speculum a few times. Speculum, speculum, as though a temperate spell their patients will fall right into. A watchdog for the clamp eye open. I imagined my uterus in neon, like too much text art. Even my female friends say lady bits or lady parts. Sometimes a doctor would hold my hand, call to see how I was feeling, but no one asked if I wanted an image of a failing thing. Ugly animals. It started as a show. Hagfish, star-nosed mole, warthog, tapeworm. 2/3 of people have some sort of parasite. I accept ugliness, then I don't. In the war movie about the current war, the man is driven to return to the horror/honor of the work. His bomb suit, larger than a bloated human body, is protection. Foolishly, I am startled by it being directed by a woman, as if rare as curved steel. Sundown at Herring's Cove, I pocket a heart-shaped rock. Pack rat, my husband says. It's Valentine's, I say, stuffing my pocket. He waits for me to shower with him. Sometimes I don't want to get wet. There's several poems in the book called The Almost, and this is one of them. The Almost. I need to make another decision about you, body. Your endorphins are a charade. Your symptoms are meandering poppycock. Your nerves a tangle of pains here, now there. The onlookers ask me to explain. When you're not screaming, you may be at an 8. I name you rivulet and throw in some stones. No Argo will take hold. 911 for an ambulance. When the gurney arrives, it is one big maxi pad that may sop up my blood. In the ER, the physicians explain to a man one bed over that he will get his last foot amputated. Hearing their broken Spanish, more mangled than not, I cannot muster enough energy to yell that he deserves an interpreter. My husband and I cuss and whisper, and my stretcher gets rolled by without my infant protest. I think it was Anna Ross is in the audience, helped me with that final line, I remember. Gotta rely on friends. Okay, this will be the last one. Okay, it's called Pelvis Melancholia. It's in 3 parts. 1, out of the flowers cometh blueberries, the blue jays raid in the garden. At the mirror, rubbing my bulging belly, taking a trip to my feebleness in a landscape of hunters and pluckers. With binoculars, watch a hawk dismembering a pigeon. Mine eyes have seen a gory bird. Spare me these giant sunflower nipples, for no one will arrive. For the bouquets that have been following me, I pull out yet another vase. This time, the lilies falling open to the supreme, strung out on another blue not even Joni Mitchell would peck. Isn't the blue just the brain and its amygdala? Between hellish and nowish and with a rash of flowers, my reign of nulli para goes on and on. Nulli, nulli, para nala. Give me an arm's length. Give me a sec, pains at a 7. Sure, I'll host. How about some wine? 2. After I fill out the report of my wishes, assume the position, the nurse says. Neon yellow liquid in the syringe, my Johnny's freewheeling. Crafting a baby has been alarming my body. Did you meet the doctor, tall and handsome, she asks. Easy on the eyes, I don't say. Why am I the one to tell her who's been here? As a nurse double gloves, I keep tracing the concealer below her eyes, so white where a shadow could be. The methotrexate shot will dissolve the sprout, the baby I wanted, now hampered in its gestational sac in a dangerous home, this time my fallopian tube. A little sick, I stink up affection with a mix of oblivion and whimsy, pricked with sadness that'll span or spam the rest of my body. The medics circle through. 3. Postmodern mortem. In the calf, I eat a croissant, stare at the utensils, the spork, a self-portrait, half of my grinning jaw lobbed off. My prenatal vitamins are getting old. At home, a settler in this square footage, I stay put with drinks, books, and animals to pet. One was run over. Outside, the shovels are leaning on the railings. The mounds of filthy snow are a final gripe to purity. There'll be more mounds, more scraping. The sun is raging and goes down on the sidewalk, a toothless ray. I've gotten so used to opening my legs for medical instruments that I cried during sex. During stopped. In our intimacy, there'll be yet another time for moving beyond, for prepositions to get me through, for the stream of doctors to stop. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cheryl. Beautiful, beautifully musical poetry. I love that echoing of speculum. All right, last up in this hour is Kenning, JP Garcia.
Juan Valdez and Betty Crocker, imaginary people, actual personas, and actual sustenance, wrestled with reality and won, still thriving. In all bad faith, the authentic could never. The idea is here and the image is gone, and it means nothing to see. No, nothing to see. Eyes were shut from on high, came down with a thought, caught it, can't shake it. Burning up with boredom makes a runway for a ship's landing. Everything to be has lost its sense of harmony, misheard the melody. And once in a lifetime comes in too early, and now it's too late to begin again. But luckily, there were no witnesses. It's one word against another word, and that's nothing more than a paragraph to write, to read, to highlight, and forget about. Darkness falls quickly. Who is up? It's another truth to hide. Affectations to aspire to. Affected, effected, infatuation. No, nothing that romantic. Light is slow to overtake the room. Nobody waits to want, but always wants the people leaving more. Hoops jump over the moon. Cows pass through the eye of the needle and catch a glimpse of itself in the convex surface of a spoon. This room is so disproportionate, and whose fault is this? Who is having these stupid dreams? Oh, no, don't worry. It's just not a joke. It's a theory, a thought experimenting on other thoughts. No company is the best dessert, but we're starving. Haven't even had dinner yet. There's nothing to say about the day. It's just another empty bed, a cuckoo clock, and an explanation about minute hands. This bar is here and won't fade away, is set too low, and is also none. Made a better window than a door when it came to breaking and entering. That's what every relationship ends up being. Didn't want to be looking out of the self today, but it's been such a dark and stormy night in the pages of this book being read. And that is why one lets sleeping dogs lie. Don't wake up a mutt. The reality will be too much. The canine inclinations are to hunt, find what's missing, fuck with any old stick in the mud, play dead, be bad actors and beg, become the fakirs of the household. Meanwhile, this hovel only exists on what a mere schnorrer can make, scrounging, scamming, and doing another sort of praying. And see, now the roles are reversed. Who has Stockholm Syndrome now, and who is an imposter? Crossbreeds. No guides, no mentors. No guides, no mentors. But when Klaus Oldenburg showed the relationship between form and function by the sagging of a fan, one must wonder what it might mean to replace fuck with soft prior to a childish word for an adult. People love to point out things, but the only love that requires such pointing is the love that is remote and must be tuned into. And this is why some griots are so able to miss so many points so much of the time. Anybody could write John Cage, but John Cage could not write anybody. Or perhaps digging through the archives, there is a scrap of paper where anybody is written or is simply to anybody. But nothing there is for anybody. And George E. Lewis answers such Eurologic thinking with Afrologic, and even with the I Ching and one collaboration with Sun Ra, one can see, hear, sense, understand the setting of the work and the work that was being set about. The avant-garde. Good fences make great gatekeepers. Half a mind is stuck on Spotify and the blended logic of logic and the defensiveness of the form acceptance and rejection, but also Roshana Kesti and what fits into no-halves as a contradictory concept of what has exploded in the shadow of the death of that one person, theorist, Mark Fisher. Benjamin Noyes is not spelled noise, and that's a shame, since Noyes' favorite dead person, Mark Fisher, focused a lot on music, if not necessarily sounds. But what good are insights anyway? Rehashings are just the living haunting the dead. And the dead, weird and eerie, always already said enough about hauntology. So back to the rejection and acceptance found in a contradiction. The radical remembering of the future as thought of by Manu Meyer. Moving on with the suck of the teeth, known as chuck or chip to this, teeth kissed, not everybody who is an ancestor is meant to continue to speak. Some ghosts are merely zombie ideologies at this point. The work is not unfinished. It's just work for work's sake. Don't mistake productivity for progress, nor process for productivity. How is this a diary at this or any point previously? How is this a seance? How is this a game of telephone between angels and algorithms? Dear narrator, this is not an interview. Under no pretext, under no afterwards either. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. That was just rollicking ride of incursions and leaps and connections and fabulous. Thank you, everybody. This wraps up the 8 o'clock hour. Thank you to all our listeners online and right. Read again the names. Thank you. JJ Rowan, Anna Ross, Jim Dunn, Mark Lamoureux, Bridget Eileen, Cheryl Clark Vermeulen, and Kenny JP. Thank you all. I don't know what you're saying. The next hour. Oh, who's reading in the next hour? Yes, Michael Steffen, Sam Cha, Gabrielle Barboza, Andrew Peterson, Xtina Strong, Jim Stewart, and Stevie Subrizi. So stick around. That more to come very shortly.